Unfortunately, in Armenia, we do not experience free and fair elections.
People lie, people cheat, it's part of the Soviet psychology.
Boys, young boys of 18, 20 dying in the army, being killed, and the ones who killed them never being prosecuted and put in jail.
Violence against women is an issue in Armenia and we need to talk about it.
If you are not majority, if you are not one of them, you suffer.
If this process will go to the active stage, we will have a water polluted by heavy and toxic metals. It will be a catastrophe.
Whenever people do not see that they are citizens, that they have a respect, that their vote has a respect, they just want to escape this country.
I wonder if anyone thinks that he or she is going to avoid this kind of injustices. It can happen to all of us, and unless we are together and we organize to fight things, it's gonna happen again and again.
There's a good group of active citizens, young people, older people who are really coming together to address these issues.
Today we see that when we are doing protests, even with 20 people, the government and the ministries, they are sending a lot of police because they are scared of even a few dedicated activists.
I see all these people all around, these policemen who are not really men, let me say so. They're trying to fight against usual people.
They are visiting, policemen visiting to ordinary people houses and asking them and pushing them to not participate.
It is illegal to do that, no?
Of course.
The whole system is such a corruption. There is no place for human rights thinking.
When you see that somehow the law does not work in your country, when you see that there are laws that are only on the paper and then are not being implemented, you already lose your trust.
There's also a lot of fear towards addressing things that is related directly or indirectly to government. Also, there are a lot of dangers.
Հենց դա ամբողջ խնդիրը, որ կան մարդիկ, ովքեր թվում է, թե իրենք կարող են վեր լինել օրենքից։ Բայց Հայաստանի Հանրապետության սահմանադրության մեջ կա դրույթ, ուր ասում է, որ բոլոր մարդիկ հավասար են օրենքի առջև։
They are here to fight for their freedom because they want to fight for the future of their children and they want to live in rule of law society.
If we act persistently and intensely,
you can make a difference.
Of course we will succeed.
I am Sona Ayvazyan, Transparency International Anti-Corruption Center.
Gevorg Tergabrilian, and I am the country director of Eurasia Partnership Foundation.
My name is Arpine Galfayan. I work for the Institute for Democracy and Human Rights.
Artur Sakuns, Vanadzor Office of Helsinki Citizens Assembly.
I'm Lara and I work at the Women's Resource Center in Armenia.
I'm Mamikon Hovsepian. I work in this organization. The full name is Public Information Lead of Knowledge. We call it just PINK.
Shushan Doidoyan, head of the Freedom of Information Center.
I'm Tigran Chorokyan. We've initiated the no-smoking campaign in Yerevan.
Statevik Davtyan, temporary disability allowances.
Varam Sogomonyan, this city belongs to us.
I'm Ola Azatyan. I'm involved in a lot of activities that is connected with the activism in Armenia.
Dan Sargsyan, PR responsible of Women's Rights Center in Armenia.
Mariam Sukudan, my name is Mauro Matrosyan.
My name is Carla Garatedyan.
Sarhat Petrosyan.
Nare Aranan.
Arman Garibyan.
Zanush Khachabyan.
My name is Amasya.
Եթե մենք ունենք այսպիսի երկիր, ուրեմն մեզանից յուրաքանչյուրը ինչ որտեղ, ինչ որ պահի, ինչ որ սխալ գործել է։ Ուրեմն իրավիճակը շտկելու ճանապարհը մեզանից յուրաքանչյուրը պետք է աշխատի իր սխալները ուղղելու վրա։
That's the key for the democracy. They need to participate in the decision making which relates to their everyday lives.
Everyone, democracy is not for one and is not formed by once. It's something which takes time, takes effort and takes everybody's efforts.
Գտնում եմ, որ եթե այսպես շարունակենք, այլևս հնարավոր չի լինի ապրել Հայաստանում։
I think this is a very important and very encouraging development, which started in 2008 after the presidential elections, unsuccessful presidential elections because they were all rigged, and 10 people were killed during the protests. But at the same time, this was a new period of awakening. And since 2008, many youth groups are being organized. It just changed something in the minds of the people, that we can be proactive, we can be actors of change. And now there are more than 10 youth groups. Some of them are quite experienced already. They know how to organize pickets, sit-ins, how to write petitions and this kind of stuff. Some of them are very new, and I think it's really important that these groups start collaborating together and start growing into something which could be called maybe a social movement. That would be really a turning point in the history, when people could really be in charge of changing things without wanting to get into power, to the official power structures.
Corruption is in a high level in Armenia. Mostly in schools and in universities.
It's illegal, but I can't say that it is acceptable or not, because in some places it helps us to do such things that we can't do without it.
Armenia is in the highest places in terms of corruption in education sphere, and this is absolutely we can't understand that. There is corruption in schools. People are paying to get their diplomas instead of trying to study, and
this hurts the whole country. This hurts every sphere.
Yes, and it also has to do with the thinking, you know, when people think, okay, I can't do anything in terms of law, let's just pay the money and get things done in an easy way. But this makes corruption flourish and continue.
Everybody wants their children to do the best, so it's a very difficult position to be in. I know one girl who didn't give in to the corruption and had to take her children to another country. I know people who have given in to the corruption, regretted it, but it was the only way they could see forward for their children. But unfortunately, until their salaries become better, until their working conditions become better, it's only going to be repeated.
If you ask people, did you ever give a kickback, they say no. If you ask them what's the biggest problem in Armenia, they say kickback.
We're facing in our daily activity with different aspects of corruption, but in some cases different groups of population, this situation acceptable.
But we have also cases when you're not giving the bribes, then it can work maybe a bit longer, but it can work.
Most of the petty, lower-level corruptions can be avoided if people do not offer to give bribe money.
What does your organization do to fight corruption?
Well, it's a huge really issue, and what we can do in regard to consumer protection or anti-corruption activities in this sphere, it's the improvement in legislation, because when you have to go from here from one institutional body to another institutional body because you did some documents, for example, and this red tape also causes many corruption risks. So if we decrease this red tape, maybe it will result in corruption decrease as well.
There is some progress. There are some more officials being punished for the bribery or for some other manifestations of corruption. However, we do not feel that the highest level, and people know those names, some of the members of parliament, some of the ministers, we didn't see them getting punished.
I believe only on revolution. This government, this power is deeply and definitely corrupted. We are in the state capturing corruption in Armenia.
One of the problems is that, for example, international organizations and institutions are paying the government to fight against corruption. And I believe this government is not able to fight corruption because they are the most corrupt people and they are the ones who are sponsoring corruption. Last year we read in several newspapers, they published that the second president, Kocharyan, he has $4 billion of money. So his money alone will be enough to pay the whole external debt of Armenia, you know? And how can international organization pay these people to fight corruption in Armenia? This is ridiculous. But the revolution can change things.
And you need to demand from the public officials to perform better, because they are managing your assets and they are governing your country and they are elected by you. And once you act, you can believe it's very difficult. It's very difficult to achieve a success in a country where there is no democracy, where there is big corruption and when highest level officials are engaged in corruption. But after some time, after a long time probably, you will definitely achieve success, and we believe in that.
I want a clean air. I need a clean air, and I need our country to save our country, and I do it. Thank you. We must save our nature, that our nature save us.
Forests, they are being cut, and that's another problem that must be solved.
We have tried to involve opinion makers, and one of them is famous singer Serj. He was in Marriott Hotel. He arrived very late, and we requested him to come and talk to us. So he came. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Activistlerin ես խորհուրդ առնում եմ։ Բարի գիշեր։ Բարի գիշեր։
Ես կծում եմ Սերժի կծածը։
Ecological problem is the social problem also.
If people are active, we can do something, but if they don't, we can't do anything.
I am here because of the huge volumes of mining of the Armenian very small territory.
The government doesn't even have information about this, or they do not at least provide information about the toxic substances available in the dumping tails or the public health situation.
You have a place like Datev and strip mining very close to it. It's unbelievable, you know, and they go on without any environmental assessments.
Valery Mejlumian, he's the owner of a company which is going to do mining in Terut in the north of Armenia. His company is owning Alaverdi's copper factory, and you will see the whole smoke coming out over the city. And for 10 years they haven't even bothered to put any kind of filters which would protect the people and the environment. And this is the Speaker of the Parliament, who is in charge of many laws encouraging mining, and he has his own businesses. He was trying to build a restaurant inside a reserve, which is not allowed.
Some officials have another understanding who are the owners of this city, and they couldn't understand what it means. This city belongs to us.
Before this building was here, it was all green?
It was all green. They cut many trees here. How catastrophic destruction was made here in this part of the park. On the end of April, this Facebook group was formed, and just a few days after that was the first action, a silent action. We made a live chain surrounding the park to show that we want to preserve this park. So this is a public area, and the city has to consider our opinion. I can say we gathered 20,000 signatures with a petition sent to all high officials in Armenia, and some protest actions, photo exhibitions showing the park, what's going on now, and still there is nothing done here. So we have to engage more citizens, because we see citizens are more engaged until the last moment. They can save their parks. For example, in Dragon's Park in Yerevan we have a successful story. So this is a two-sided movement, so to say, to bring the officials to responsibility and to engage more citizens. So this is this.
Are you building? Are you the building?
Ես տեղ իրավունք չունեք ասելու ես որտեղ քայլեմ թե ոչ։ Դուք իրավունք չունեք ասեցի։ Մեզ մի ցույց տվեք, մենք ինչ կարող ենք անել եւ չենք կարող անել։
What did you say to him?
Ձեր շինարարությունն զբաղվեք շինարարությամբ։
Ինչ սա։
He says we are not allowed to enter or to look at this building.
Why are we not allowed to look at it?
I don't know, they are just nervous.
We can look at it here.
So he's saying that you are not allowed to enter this site, but this is a public area. So I don't know why the people are so nervous, because maybe of environmental activists who come frequently here, and this is our space. This is still our space.
And in 2010, government decided to torn down an existing and standing open-air cinema hall. The building is unique with this design because it was built in 1960s. A young architect designed this open-air hall in the backyard of the cinema Moscow. And the amphitheater was just flying on the sky with very tiny and unique columns. We sent this 24,000 signatures to the president, head of government, deputy minister or prime minister, to Catholicos, to everybody. So we don't have the final success. They didn't agree to put the building in the monument list of monuments protected by government, but now the building is standing. So this is the success.
We have lack of awareness among the society about the harmful effects of the cigarette smoke. It is combined with the imperfect legislation and poor enforcement of even the existing legislation. These are the main problems of this society to tackle any problem, including the problem of smoking in public areas, which is very harmful for children and for pregnant women especially. We handled more than 500 stickers to the means of public transportation, which are non-smoke area, and the drivers that they provide the non-smoking environment. We have identified 37 bars, cafes and restaurants in Yerevan which are smoke-free or partly smoke-free. So we handled certificates of gratitude them with about 200 young people. There are many surveys in the world which shows that no business have gone the dropping down process after making it a smoke-free environment. That's why the campaign is so much successful, because we had many policymakers and decision makers around us.
What about marshrutka? Do you like marshrutka?
No, I hate it. Really, I hate it. It's terrifying me every time.
The problem is that it's always overcrowded and people have to stand in marshrutkas and small marshrutkas, and it's not comfortable and it's not safe. Even doctors say that if you're not for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you can have aches for a long time. There are problems with just paying for your tickets, because you have to pay to the driver, and sometimes he have to give you back some money, and he was always busy with this just coins, and maybe he can even crash.
Our friends are the organizers of this action, so we just got to know about it from Facebook.
With the posters, there are many lozungs like I demand dignified transport, I demand transport to work 20 hours in a day, I demand just safety transport.
What did he say?
He said he's angry that they wrote that the passenger is potato. He asked me if...
the passenger is not potato?
Yes.
Is passenger potato?
Yes.
Is the owner the city government?
No, it's just like persons, different persons. They are owners of different...
Oligarchs?
Yeah, mostly oligarchs. Even sometimes members of our parliament are...
Isn't that illegal?
I guess, yeah, it's illegal because the member of parliament shouldn't have business,
right.
But in Armenia we have the opposite.
Why are you closing? Why are you stopping?
Because we decided to have action for 1 hour only, but it's not the last one, it's the first one.
It's only the beginning.
On women's issues, more women are active in different fields, like in civil society mostly.
In our government, you see that women have no say. In our circles, in activists, men are like, we really are equal in the activism.
What we're doing is empowering women in Armenia to take a more active place in society, to be decision makers, to make changes.
We have managed to actually change the law, and we have managed to restore the rights of any woman who would be pregnant and would be on maternity leave, and any man or woman who would be temporarily disabled and not able to work and would be able to get government benefits for this.
Do you think there's an issue with domestic violence?
Well, that's an issue as well. But with so many women activists, I think that's going to change too.
But other people say that, oh, don't talk about this, you know, it's something personal, it should be stay in the family. And by doing that, you're destroying the family, telling women to voice their concerns. But to those people, we say, what's destroying the family? If there's violence in the family, it's already destroyed.
There is no such violence in our country, and I think everything is all right in that
area.
In that area.
So there's no violence against women in Armenia?
No.
And sometimes they say, oh, it's tradition, it's our culture, it's like that. But what we try to tell them, you know, our culture doesn't say that you need to beat up your wife.
Zarui Petrosyan was beaten by her husband and by her mother-in-law. Domestic violence, I want to say, as you know, as a definition, that there is no reason for it, because it's all an issue of control. But she was asked to racket money from her family, and when she did not deliver the sums of money, she was beaten. So Zarui Petrosyan, tragically through her death, activated activism and domestic violence issue in Armenia.
There are some stereotypes in our society, unfortunately, but I see the movement that something there is changing, and we are motivating them to promote that change.
This is the Sexual Assault Crisis Center, and we have the hotline here. And here are the public actions for November 25 to stop violence against women that we do every year. And it says sexual violence is a crime.
We have Women's Support and Robin Center. We have crisis centers in 4 regions. We have emergency shelters with transitional housing in Yerevan, free psychological, legal, social, medical assistance for these women.
Why are you here?
Well, we are here because we now have an action, a street action called No to Domestic Violence. And this action is such a little thing to do to prevent domestic violence in Armenia against women and against their children in Armenia. So now the men, especially men, can write on the balloons to their word no to domestic violence, and then we can release all these balloons to the air. So we think that this this can help bring attention to especially men who continue to subject their wives or children to domestic violence.
When the sun shines, it shines for all of us.
What is this? What are you doing here today?
For gender equality, and we believe that women and men should be equal, so we did some flash mob for everyone, for society, our society, to show that we are equal.
The problem of gender equality exists, and this is a vitally important issue in Armenia.
A lot of young men are out of the country. They are out to Russia for work, and we have women, which is, I think, can be treated as positively, and so we can have women evolution. Yes.
Many people from Armenia have many problems concerning people was died in army.
Աշխատալ դա բնդրում, տղա, աշխիկի տղա։ Կարծում է, հեռուստացույցով միշտ գրում է, որ Պաշտպանության նախարարությունը ընդունելություն է կատարում դու հավատաց անձանց։ Գրում է լեյտենանտ դառնում, 6 ամիս հետո ինքնասպան է լինում։ Հավատալի բան է, հա։ Դե հավատացեք դու։
Արմենիայի առաջինը բժշկական եզրակացություն առաջի երկրորդ տվասն է, որ Ամերիկան առաջի երկրորդ մահացած է, որ գցել են ջուրը։Աժանաբար ծեցել է, սպանել են ու գցել են ջուրը։ Ու ոչ մեկ պատասխան չի տալի վերջում համար, ինքն արի վերջում։ Ինչքան դաժանությամբ է վերաբերվել։ Կառավարություն կա, որ կառավարությունը պահանջել, 7 տարի արտահայտություն է պահանջել։
Ուժաներից եք լավ, տան ջանքում երեխա են պահի մեծը ծրերեք, բա երեխեն է ջիգրակը դուր երեխեն, ճայեր ջիվանը տվել է պամատվել, դրբերեք տվեք։
Ուղարիք կա 7-ին նարմագայը խոստանցել է, որ շեղավորները կպատշվեն, ով կա պատասխան տա։
There's also the case of Mariam Sukhudyan with the Nubarashen school, boarding school, where there was cases of sexual abuse and violence against children.
Հայ առաքելական եկեղեցու ներկայացուցիչներին եւ այլն ոչ մեկից չունենալով արձագանք, ոչ մեկ չէր ուզում պեդոֆիլիա, մանկապարտություն նման բարդ խնդրով զբաղվել.
She encouraged the girls to go report that to the police, and they did. But the next day, once it was on public TV, a lot of people got involved, and they were like, the principal was very upset, and he had some connections, probably in the ministry or I don't know where in the government. And then they turned everything against Mariam, saying that she was the one who forced the children to say lies. The American ambassador to Armenia gave her a prize for human rights activists, and it was very public, and all the media covered it. And just a couple days after that, they released her saying that it was wrong, that she was right, that the teacher did all this, and they arrested the teacher. One of the teachers, not the principal, who also is involved because it's his school, and the teacher confessed that he accepted the charges. And based on the law in Armenia, if you do that, then your sentencing will be much lighter. Even if it's kids, even if it's sexual violence, they don't care. So from 6 to 8 years, it was going down to 3 years maximum. He brought a lot of good letters, diplomas, certificate that the principal gave him. And he said, I'm a good father. So based on that, prosecutor wanted to give him 1.5 years for all 5 kids who, we said no, we want 2 years, at least 2 years. And then we organized every day of the trial. We were in front of the court with big posters saying, you are supporting a pedophile in Armenia instead of supporting our children. And the courtroom was packed. We were not silent, and the judge was getting frustrated and upset. And whenever he was telling something not right, we were like booing in the courtroom. Then the final judgment came and he gave 2 years in jail. So we said, okay, but that's not enough, but it's a beginning.
Ես կոչ եմ անում բոլոր նրանց, ովքեր պատրաստ են չլռելու, երբ իրենց կողքը հանցագործություն է կատարվում, թեկուզ հենց իրենց պաշտպանվածության համար իրենք պետք է անպայման ահազանգեն մեդիաներին, հասարակությանը, Facebook, սոցիալական ցանցերում խմբեր բացեն, այսինքն ոչ թե մեկուսանան, երբեմն այդ մեկուսանալը շատ վատ կարող է անդրադառնա.
People suffer because of being national minorities, religious minorities, sexual minorities, people who live with HIV, people who have fewer opportunities. We moved here in the beginning of this year.
People are coming for what reason?
For trainings, for counseling, for movie screening, for discussions, just to meet each other and talk about different issues. Usually we have actions for HIV, for like World AIDS Day, AIDS Candlelight Memorial Day, and several events regarding sexual health. And every year, May 17, we organize Rainbow Flash Mob. It's International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia. Just we want to make lives more colorful.
I want to save the dolphins.
This week is devoted for protecting dolphins all around the world. Dolphins are supposed to swim more than 14 miles per day. In this condition, dolphins are not swimming this distance, and they're swimming with rounds, and which causes a number of psychological traumas.
Ակնկալիքներ ունենք, որպեսզի կանգնեցնեն դելֆինարիումի աշխատանքը Հայաստանում եւ դուրս բերեն դելֆիններից այս ահավոր սարսափազդու վիճակից։
Դուք ասեցիք, ես լսեցի, չէ՞։ Հիմա ես ասեմ, դուք լսեք։ Տեղի դնեք։
Դուք աշխատում եք նաեւ դելֆինարիում։
Հա, ինքս տեղալիում
ամենը։ Պատիկին ադամ եմ, բարձրացրեք այգու ոռոգման ջրի հարցը։
Եվ այդ մենք այսօր եկել ենք եւ դելֆինարիում։
Հասկանում եմ, բայց ինչու այգու ոռոգման ջրի հարցով, երբ որ մեր կանալի ջուրը գնում է Արարատյան դաշտաբայց, ոռոգում է ամբողջ Արարատյան դաշտը։
Դուք ուզում եք շեղեք մեզ այսօրվա մեր ակցիա, այսօր մեր ակցիա վերաբերում է դելֆինների պաշտպանությանը։ Դուք այդ հարցը կդնեք մեզ։
If we succeed, and hopefully we can free these dolphins and they can live their normal lives in the sea.
We don't have any culture how to treat animals, how to treat to nature, because a massive killing cannot solve any problem with any animal. Do not kill stray dogs and sterilize every healthy dog to solve that problem.
Do you think it's easy to ask the government for information?
Yes, it's quite easy to ask for information, but the information that they give us is not true.
A few years ago, people would think that we can't get any information from public bodies. How come can we ask the president or the prime minister or the mayor of Yerevan to provide us this and that information? But now many organizations and many individuals try to challenge that, and that's really working. The law is in place which makes any public body provide you information, public information in 5 days.
Maximum 5 days, but people are getting their answers within 15 to 20 days. So which means that this provision of law is widely ignored or violated by state officials. There are several reasons why they delay information, but the most common problem is just lack of good management within state bodies.
What kind of backing do you have? Do you sue the government?
Yeah, we sue the government whenever we do not receive the requested information. Last year, we submitted a freedom of information request to one of the mayors of a city located in the northern part of Armenia called Stepanavan, and we received a very strange answer. The written answer of that mayor said that in order to provide you with the copies of the requested information, you need to pay 500 drams for per page of the requested information. But the information composed of more than 100 pages, which means that a local NGO should pay about more than 1 million drams for provision of information. We appealed this case. The mayor told us that they have a special decision which obliges everyone to pay 500 drams, and we believe that this decision contradicts the constitution of Armenia and contradicts to the freedom of information law of Armenia. The court system satisfied our claims. By winning this kind of small cases, culture of openness someday will be developed in Armenia. Information gives a power to a citizen, and we want our citizens to be empowered by information. And if they lack it, they can apply us and we will help them. And this is our main mission, helping citizens.
We in Armenia have a mission to promote good governance and public policy in order to combat corruption and promote democracy in the country.
Երբ որ իշխանությունների ձևավորումը կկատարվի ժողովրդի կողմից, այդ ժամանակ պատասխանատվությունը իշխանության ժողովրդի առջև, հասարակության առջև կձևավորվի եւ այդ խնդիրներին լուծում կտրվի.
There is a Council of Justice, according to the Constitution of Armenia, which is composed of several executive officers, including the President, who is the top of the Board of Justice. So this Board of Justice is assigning judges, and if a judge dares do anything against the will of the President, the Prime Minister, or the people in the top executive, the judge is being dismissed, of course for other reasons. They find most of the judges would have corruption history or something else, so they would easily find a compromise and take these people out. So it's a good way to control the judiciary, you know.
Can this be fixed?
This can be fixed by constitutional amendment.
Ճանապարհը դեպի Եվրոդատարան է, ուղղակի մենք պետք է այստեղ բոլոր ակտորները սպառենք, հետո նոր գնանք Եվրոդատարան, իսկ շանսերը շատ են, որ Եվրոդատարանում այս խնդիրը կլուծվի։
Եթե մենք չենք կատարում ընտրություն, մենք հրաժարվում ենք մեր բաժին պատասխանատվությունից եւ դա դառնում է մեր ընտրությունը։
Ստեղ պետք է լինի հեղափոխություն, բրցնենք այս տական գողերից թալանքների։
This is the beginning of the process, and I don't know where it will lead to, but at least we have the idea of the place we want to live in, the idea of policies we want to create. And we have people who are volunteers who believe in what they are doing, and I think this is a big power, and this is able to change things.
Take the destiny of this country in your hands and become active citizen of this country.
Even in our country that is not so democratic and not so free, but if people really want to do some changes, they will reach it.
So they need to go to elections, they need to vote, they need to understand that that's their very basic opportunity to make a difference, to vote.
When you see that each resident of the community is able to conceive that he is able to contribute to the solving of the problem, we can see the change of that person.
People should believe themselves that they can be the change agents.
We can't do anything we want, all we need is just a little patience and a hard working.
We have new, well-educated young people who don't want to be part of this corrupt system. They want to bring an alternative.
I believe if there is even 10 active people, 10 active young, strong people, something is going to be changed.
Even one person, even one word can change Armenia, can change our mentality, can make it better.
Come and join us, because our struggle is your struggle, our victory is everyone's victory.
And it's cool, like it makes you happy to be engaged in something.
Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So be confident that we can change anything.
Of course, we have hope, because it's very difficult to live without hope.
And I really do hope that one day we're going to live in a country at least with a low level of corruption, if not totally without it.
You can fight corruption. You are protected by the law. The law is on your side.
It will be hard just to struggle against them, but we are not going to just give up.
The diaspora is listening to you. Men and women are listening to you, young and old. We're now between the old Armenia and the new Armenia, and you are part of the new Armenia. Don't think that you aren't being heard. Make a difference in Armenia.
Every single person can make a difference. This idea is really very important, because if anybody stands and says that I can't do anything, I can't change anything, we really won't change anything.
The word impossible itself says that it is possible. I am possible.
People power.